Welcoming to Greenlight. This guest is awesome. I got my coach, Jeff Fisher, on here, my former coach, longtime NFL coach. Not only one of my favorite coaches, one of my favorite people, and he's joining me at technical difficulties at his farm in Nashville. Now he's over at where are you at right now?
I'm at my daughter's house,
okay.
Tara and Justin Miller's, and my granddaughter. It's good to see you. I love the hat, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it says says JF, but it's not Jeff Fisher. It's another thing.
Gonna get it. I'm glad you got it. Yeah.
So now, Fish, you're out of coaching a little bit. You've taken up social media, which is awesome. The day I saw my coach on Twitter using GIFs, interacting with people, I thought it was cool because it shows people a different side of you that like when people see you on the sideline scowling, looking intimidating, and they're like, what's Jeff Fisher like? I'm like, he's the funniest, most chill dude. I mean, he's badass, but he's chill. What do you see on Twitter? What's your social media experience like?
Well, here's the deal. After we have something in common. We both parted ways with the Rams, and I went after you did. So after that happened, I guess the best way to describe it was I had my rear end drugged down the asphalt for 2 years.
Yeah.
And, there's a difference between, constructive criticism, people's opinions, and things that aren't true. And so I just wanted to kind of set the record straight. And the needle was so far one side on, the 7-9 and all that stuff that I wanted to move the needle back to the middle. And I wanted people to know who I really am. I mean, there was, I went 110 in a row and lost the 11th game one year, and I had MVPs in the Super Bowl team and all kinds of stuff. But the narrative was always 7-9, and the 7-9 thing spun out of the Hard Knocks thing, where I was ripping into the team for some stuff that went on, at night that were
right.
Team violations and stuff,
right.
and I actually saved a guy's marriage because of it. But
right.
I catch shit for it. So anyway, I wanted to move the needle back. So it's been a lot of fun, and I would say I'm not surprised, but there are a lot of really good people out there that come to your defense that think that take you for who you are, actually.
And then also there's the whole other thing where like you actually have a voice and you're not like a punching bag or something. Like you can't talk about Jeff Fisher anymore because Jeff Fisher's on Twitter, and now you've got to stand by your comments. Like if you're giving an unfair criticism or whatever, like people act differently when there's actually like a chance that the person's going to see and you got to stick to the facts more. And yeah, you had some great teams. And when we were in St. Louis, my thing is we never could get over the hump. I think a lot of it had to do with Sam's injury. I thought we were so close.
Well, Chris, it's funny you bring it up because I was having this conversation a couple of days ago, in that, before I got there, you guys, now you weren't there the whole 5 years, but you guys, the Rams had lost more games than any team in the history of the NFL in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and I remember the first team meeting where I stood up there, I recognized three people. That was you, that was Sam, and that was James.
Yeah.
And Steven.
Yeah.
And it's just, we went from 2-14 to 7-8-1, 4-1-1 in division. But it's important to point out, I took the job because of the owner, because of Sam, a franchise quarterback, and the fact that we could build the defense around you guys. And year one, we do well. Year two, he tears his ACL. Year three, what happened? He tears his ACL.
Yeah.
So the question is, what would have happened had he stayed healthy?
Yeah. Listen, I'll always remember that Cleveland game because I thought that year, when we were coming in, we were loaded. Like, we had a badass defense. I've had a lot of people that love the defense I was on in Philly, that love that defensive line. Now, we got to win a Super Bowl, so everybody inflates, like, everything about the team. Now, we were a great team. We were very complete. But as far as, like, the D-line is concerned, the best D-line I was ever on was in St. Louis. And y'all put that together, and our defense played with an edge. We played tough, and we were starting to figure out how to play complementary football. We got Sam rolling, and then that Jake, who was really injury prone towards the end, a lot of miles on the tread there. He got beat in that Cleveland game. Sam tore his ACL, and that was the first one, right? Or was that the second one?
No, that was the second.
That was the second one. But that was the year we were rolling. We were going to roll that year.
Yeah, but the first one was the year before Carolina. There was a little stuff going on between you.
I missed the second half of that game.
Some of their offensive guys. You may have missed some of that game. Yeah,
I did.
So anyway, we were on track. But what we did was we continued to build.
Mm-hmm.
And so we built that team. And, obviously we saw the success or the hard work just the last couple of years. And I'm happy for those guys. But anyway, it's just that's the NFL, and that's how things happen like that.
No doubt about it. And you do want to get back into coaching one day, huh?
Yeah.
I saw the funny clip you put out with the dogs. Where you were feeding your...
I'm still coaching. That's what I said. I'm still coaching. Yeah.
Hey, you're a hell of a dog trainer. You're also one of the best prank... I don't know if you're a prank artist, but you really like pranks. You're a prank connoisseur. Is that fair?
That's the thing that people don't understand is and correct me if I'm wrong, what I wanted to do was when you pulled in the parking lot to the facility, I wanted you to run in the building. We couldn't wait to get to work.
Yeah.
And that was the environment that we created. And so you got to be able to make fun of yourself and prank and do this. And you guys took it to another level, which was really fun. But I mean, you were there when we started OTAs, and our middle linebacker came in a little heavy, and I did that thing up on the stage with the skit stuff, and that was totally random, totally spontaneous. But I love that stuff, and I know you guys did too, because you can make fun of yourself, make fun of you guys, and there's what you do is you have fun and then you work.
Yeah, and you know what I liked is you had this thing where, listen. We had fun all the time, but you had your rules. You had a few rules that you were like, okay, you just don't break these rules. And I describe this a lot when you talk about coaches. Coaches have idiosyncrasies, and some of them might make no sense to you. But if you respect and love your coach, you just follow the dumb rules that they have. Now, one of the rules you had I actually thought was a very good one, which was no sleeveless shirts in the cafeteria. I remember the first day I walked out of the locker room, probably hadn't showered all day, in a sleeveless shirt. You're like, hey, man, sleeves. I never walked back in with sleeves on because I'm like, I like my coach. I'm going to follow the rule. Now, there was the rule that surprised everybody was you don't like rookies singing at the beginning in camp. That's one form of hazing you're not really into. Explain why.
Well, but the background behind that is if you treat a rookie like a rookie, he's going to act like one.
Yeah.
Okay. If you haze him and he doesn't want to come to dinner because he's got to stand up and sing, because I had to do it. I was a rookie.
Yeah.
I made a mistake and juggled and sang my fight song the first time I stood up in front of those Bears, and I had to sing every day. And so you get to the point where you rather not go eat.
Yeah.
Because you got to sing. Yeah. And so the common things that are important to winning are taking care of your body, eating. So there's times to play around with the rookies and treat them like rookies, but around in the work area or the work window there, I just want them to be professionals.
I thought it was unique, and I told people that the rest of my career. I was like, okay, y'all make rookies sing, and that's fun, and everybody likes it, but I kind of saw that side of it when you said that. That's right, because we came in your first year, and we were like, hey, rookie, get up there. And you were like, no, we don't make the rookies sing. We have a lot of fun, but these guys, we're going to depend on them to make plays. And as a vet, I hope I did this, and not necessarily, I'm not asking you, but I'm just saying in general, I hope that rookie and young players that dealt with me through my career would say, that guy took care of me and treated me like a vet. I was never big on treating rookies like shit because, like you said, I'm going to need that rookie. And also, I had vets that treated me good. So why would I want to, and there's a thin line. Now, when you sung in front of the Bears, how intimidating was that? I mean, that group.
Well, I looked around and you talk about Alan Page.
Yeah.
Alan Page and Walter Payton were in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And I'm singing. It was intimidating, but I heard about the NFL, and back then it was a little different.
Yeah.
But so I just felt, I always felt, and you learn things along the way, and you learn things by experience. And I just wanted the rookies. Our job, and your job as a veteran, whether you like it or not, is to try to get that rookie up to speed as quick as he can, because we're counting on him.
Right.
We want to win games, and if you just beat him down, or treat him like a rookie, he's going to become indifferent, and then you got all the other things. So it wasn't. You talk about rules. I didn't have a whole lot of rules.
No, but the few you had, people, because you don't have 50. You pick. You have your ways. Now we're not talking about football rules. There's non-negotiable ways to play good football, and you have your philosophies and ways to do things. But from an auxiliary standpoint, there's coaches have to decide which bush to pee on, and for you didn't pick 15, but the ones you pick, and I think this is a good coaching philosophy in general, is pick the stuff that, the idiosyncrasies that you think matter and do it intentionally. And it makes sense. Like no sleeves in the cafeteria. I don't want an armpit hair in my lasagna. So
yeah, and plus you have females serving. Females, they're serving food, and it's just
they don't want to smell your armpits. They don't want to smell William Hayes' armpits. And I wanted to get by the way, William Hayes, for those of you listening, is my all-time favorite teammate. He was the other left end with me. There was no backup and starter. In fact, towards the end when I was hurt, he took my job, and I wasn't even mad about it. William Hayes is a great football player. William Hayes is one of the most underappreciated football players I ever played with. This guy was as good against the pass as he was against the run. He could rush inside out, and Fish brought him and a bunch of guys. By the way, you brought over Cortland Finnegan, Will, a bunch of guys. Greg brought over guys, some of my favorite teammates of all time. William Hayes, though, as good a football player as he is, and he's still one of my best friends, believes in mermaids and does not believe in dinosaurs. Can you explain when that started?
Well, I mean, that started back in Tennessee. The mermaid thing started. And, for a year or so when he's standing up there talking about mermaids, you're going, all right, eventually he's going to kind of crack a smile like you just did and go, okay, I got you. But no, he to this day has never cracked a smile. Yeah. He believes there is such thing as mermaids.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to argue with his logic. His logic is that, and I quote, I believe, I might be paraphrasing it, you mean to tell me with that giant motherfucking ocean that there's not one goddamn half fish, half woman looking motherfucker in that entire thing? That's how.
I didn't hear it put exactly that way, but I see it. I can see him talking about it right now. It's hilarious, and he deadpans it, and he believes it.
And no dinosaurs. The government planted the dinosaur bones, as he calls them.
Well, yeah, because they charge admittance at the museums. That's his philosophy.
And he's dead serious. So Fish, I'm taking him to Tanzania this spring.
Oh, so good. Are you taking him up the big mountain, or are you just taking him on a?
No. So full disclosure, again for people listening, I do waterboys.org, and kind of organic moment here. Fish is the reason, or one of the reasons, that hundreds of thousands of people have clean water, because Fish gave me permission to go climb Kilimanjaro, and that's where I got the love for this water thing. You climbed Kili before me. How was that, and what was it like to hear one of your players that's your highest paid players on defense come to you your first offseason and say, hey, how's that mountain? And you were like, oh, it's a great mountain. I'm like, I think I want to climb it this offseason. You were like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, what part of the offseason are you going to climb? Yeah, well, I mean, I was really excited that you did it. I mean, I did it with the Wounded Warrior Project. Yeah. And so I did it with Teddy Bruschi and some guys from the league, Chad Brown and some other guys from the league. And we went up with 4 soldiers, and I went up with 2 single amputees. And unfortunately, we went up with, like you probably experienced, we went up with 11, 8, 3 got the altitude sickness. We finished with 8, but we had a single amputee finish. 1 did not. But the cool thing was we took a spare prosthetic leg to the top of the one that got the altitude sickness. So, and all that cool stuff. It was just it was an amazing experience. And I'm sure you got to the summit as the day was getting light.
Sun just comes up, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's emotional too, because I don't know about you, including training camp or Greg Williams 40 up downs, which I used to train for obsessively, and then he would do like 20 the first day and be like, got you guys, I hope you trained. When I'd get up to the top, I was so shot and so tired and emotional. I'd cry. I wouldn't cry. After we won the Super Bowl in New England, I did not shed a tear. 3 weeks later, I'm on the mountain with these vets, because we do our Conquering Kili thing, and we've had single amputees. We had the first woman above the knee amputee to summit in Kirstie Ennis. We had a blind dude summit. We've had all types of people, and just watching them will their way up the mountain and lead these big baby NFL players, because you weren't there with a bunch of big baby NFL players. I've had some big babies that lead these guys up. It's emotional, man, and it's very cool. So maybe one day we'll go back, maybe.
I'm up for it.
Okay, cool. I'm up for it. Okay. Let's talk about the game this weekend, because You're a fixture in Nashville. I mean, if there's one city that you should be happy to be good in, it's Nashville, and people love you in Nashville. What's the buzz like there right now with this team making this 7-3 playoff push, being on this tear?
It's really changed, because I actually attended as a guest of the Titans an early game in September against the Colts, and it was a close loss, and a lot of people were disappointed. But to watch things change week after week after week, and then watch them finish the way they did, there's a great deal of excitement here. I was running out and about today, and it was like, Coach, what's going to happen? Well, what do you think? I said, well, as long as the fire alarms in the hotel don't go off tonight, then I like their chances.
Yeah.
The last time I was there in a playoff game,
I heard about this.
They went off at 2:00 in the morning, and go figure, it's only 10 degrees outside, or minus 10. So anyway, I like the game. I like their chances. You can't ever pull against New England, especially in the playoffs, but I like what has come together with respect to the Titans, offensively, defensively. If they can cure that kicking ailment that they have, that they didn't address all year, then I like their chances even better. But when Derrick Henry takes charge, which he has the last month or so, I like their chances, because that just simplifies things for Ryan, and that gives them a chance.
And you talk about Derrick, you talk about Ryan, and we played Tannehill in Miami, and it's no secret. I don't know about you, I did not see this coming when he was waiting in the wings, and I was saying to myself, I don't think Mariota is the answer. I love the kid. I don't think he's the answer. The backup's not the answer. I played against him in Miami. We know who he is now. How does it happen? Like, is it a combination of Gase's scheme didn't work for him and vice versa? Is there something that Tennessee's doing different, or is it the complementary football that he's afforded and the complete offense that they run?
Well, I think this is the central issue here. And when you played them in Miami, you probably weren't concerned about their run game.
We weren't.
Okay. Even though they had Kenyon Drake, and even though they had your teammate for a year, Jay Ajayi, they didn't believe in him, and they didn't run the football. That makes quarterback play hard.
Yeah.
So, and this is not a shot at anybody other than those are two good running backs that went on and had, did some damage in the league.
Right.
But the difference is with respect to Ryan Tannehill is they believe in Derrick Henry, and he believes him in himself now.
Right.
And so that makes quarterback play a little bit easier. Plus, I think, since Taylor came back and he settled in after the suspension, he's playing a little bit better second part of the year. I think they're better up front. But the Derrick Henry, this is the reason you have guys like Derrick Henry on your roster, is to win playoff games. And I think, that's what New England's focused on. Okay,
right.
So if they become too consumed with it, then there are going to be some plays down the field. But that's where they got to start, because that's the difference in this game, I believe.
Yeah, and New England's got to be focused on Derrick Henry. And I think one thing that the Titans can take advantage of is the Patriots have not been great on the perimeter in the run game. If they can run some off-tackle stuff and pound the ball on the edge, they could make some hay. Now, I know the Pats probably load the box. I got to figure. But play action, Tannehill's been more aggressive than anybody in the league, 13 yards in an attempt. I figure if they can get that run game going, it's going to be a long day for New England. That's all I'm saying. But would you rather limp in, as the Patriots have done, in a home playoff game, or would you rather be the hot team on the road?
Well, I mean, it seems like over the years, New England comes in anyway. I mean, they either limp in or they come in on fire, but the fact is they get in. Yeah. Now, let's go back to the run game thing a little bit. The last time in a meaningful game that the Patriots had to shut down the outside zone play, the stretch play, was in a Super Bowl. And
right.
they basically gave the rest of the league a blueprint on how to stop the Rams.
Right.
The difference here is that I see there's more variety in the run game out of Tennessee than there was with the Rams.
Yeah.
Okay, so the outside zone, the stretch where you just set your edges, which you were the best at, and keep that thing inside, that's not the extent or the limit of their run game. They can do some different things. So there's going to be a chess match in here, and that's interesting to watch because, as you know, you got understudies. I mean, you got Vrabel, who's done a great job. Look, the last time I got a check was 2008 from them, so that mean nothing to me. But the point is he has game planned against his former head coach.
Right.
And Dean Pease is there.
Yeah, Pease, as well.
The question, I think, remains is that who's going to do the better job adjusting?
Right.
In this game. Now, they're both going to have their plans. They're both going to go in. Okay, what are they doing differently? How do we change? How do we adjust? Can we adjust? So, you got to give the upper hand to the veteran staff. But there again, I like what I've seen out of Arthur Smith and out of Dean Pease and Mike's staff here in Nashville making some adjustments. Now, there are some questionable end-of-game decisions that I've seen, but that's just my opinion, and I'd never second guess a coach because he's the only one that has the information. But you go, oh wow, why did that happen? But I think the big thing is right now is what are they going to do with their place kicking? Yeah, I mean this is a historic. Bad effort this year with a field goal percentage.
Well, hopefully they're going to be good. I figure in the snow, which it seems like it's going to be bad weather. That's what I just heard. So I could be wrong. Somebody could have been being sarcastic, but let's say the weather's bad. Maybe they get a pass there because both kicking games might get canceled out and we see a bunch of 4th and short situations in plus territory. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can tell you is I was part of the team that went up there in the snow in a regular season game. And I was proud that we just held them under 60.
That was an ugly one. Was that the game William Hayes got hit in the head with the football?
Oh, no, that was Kansas City.
Can you tell that story real quick as an aside?
Yeah. Now, this is shortly after. So we go to Kansas City the time prior, and we had two 100-yard rushers in the game. Okay, I got Chris Johnson and Lindell White. Both had over 100 yards. When's the last time that happened? I mean, had it going. So the next time we go to Kansas City, Kerry Collins is playing, and Kerry wasn't going to get hit, and he's standing back there, and he doesn't like what he sees, and the pockets collapse, and Kerry just cuts the ball loose, and he throws it away, and the ball comes like from my right to my right, and I go, all right, good job, Kerry, you threw it away. Here we go, it's 2nd and 10. But as the ball came over my shoulder, I heard this weird thump. I mean, it wasn't just like you hit a chest or something. It's like it hit a melon, and it did.
It hit him right in the temple, I heard.
Well, in the ear, right above the ear and the temple. And Kyle Vanden Bosch was already struggling, and we were down to 3 ends, and now Will's out with his concussion, and the ball hit him. Oh, yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
I heard he thought somebody from the crowd hit him in the head because he was so disoriented. Now, you mentioned Kyle Vanden Bosch. Is it true he used to run through the end zone every play? Is that in practice?
Pretty close.
He would run 60 yards.
All the way down, he chased the play.
He was the hardest playing guy. Was he the hardest playing guy?
Yeah. And remember, I think it was Nike came out with these low glare contact lenses.
Yes.
And they were red. And so Kyle wore them because he had an eye issue, whatever, but he liked the sunglass effect in the game. But he would go out as a captain for coin toss, and it seemed like every other week the officials would come, Coach, are you sure 93's okay? His eyes are really red. I go, yeah, they turn red every time he gets on the field. They thought he was a mess. But yeah, Kyle was really fun.
He was awesome. Getting back to the game here, you've got A.J. Brown, right? How does he fall that far? Like, what was did I miss something?
I don't know.
I mean, he's got 45-yard plays in 4 straight games.
Obviously, you can blame everybody else for him falling that far, but you got to give them credit
for grabbing him
talent and having a chance to draft him.
What was the knock on him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't evaluate him. the TV scouting, and he's a big, strong, physical guy that can accelerate and go get the ball. And when it comes down to someone making a play, put it in, just get it close to him. He'll make that play.
And he's gonna be manned up on Gilmore some. And Gilmore had a tough time last week down in Miami. How do you see that going? Because a lot of times I know the Pats will put Gilmore on the 2 and double the 1. You think this is a wise move if they man him up on AJ?
It's interesting to watch early in the game to see what the philosophy is, whether they're going to leave him outside and get the matchup, or we'll try to move him around to create a better matchup. But Stefon's a good player, and inside is a different world.
Yes,
and he handles that inside. So we'll just watch him move around. But I think they're both going to make plays when the game's said and done.
Now, do you man up if you're the Pats? Are you worried at all about Tannehill's athleticism to a degree that you adjust how much you play man?
I don't think so. I mean, you have to be concerned, but I mean, you can mug rush or whatever you guys do the best at it. You know how to do that, rush and keep them in the pocket.
I know how to do it. I know how to do it, and I hate doing it.
Yeah, I know, but that's where you go. I mean, that's where you win games.
Yeah.
I mean, early on, especially on third, to go get them on third down, but on the early play pass downs, make sure you're keeping them inside and make sure the ball's coming out on time, and because then you got coverage to affect it. But I see him. I don't see him. I don't see any called runs to the quarterback, but I see him. As I always used to tell you guys this. Boy, if the quarterback pulls the ball down and runs for a first down in 2-minute situation, the odds are them winning that drive are pretty good. So they got to watch out in those specific situations. 2 minutes before the end of the game, where he's running, using his legs to keep the drive alive.
Well, the way those backers are built, the way that they spy guys, I mean, they're all my size. I mean, whether it's Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower, tremendous players. Now, what they don't do is they don't rush the passer that well. Truly, what they do is they create pressure. They don't have guys who win rushes, but they've been right up at the top of the league and getting pressure, and a lot of that's manufactured. Now, on the other end of it, the Titans have given up a lot of sacks. If you're the Titans, are you keeping a lot of people in protection? Are you just more focused on getting the ball out quick? Like, what do you do?
Well, if you're the Titans, I think what you do is you have to show something a little different on those critical downs, those third downs, the 3 to 6, the 7 to 10s.
Yeah.
If you stay consistent with the same personnel grouping, the 11 personnel grouping, and, try to change maybe a protection here, center to tight end or away tight, things like that, they're going to collapse the pocket really quick. They're going to take advantage of it. But if you show some things that they haven't seen, on those critical downs, then I like your chances. That's going to may even include some, play action protection. Yeah. Where you're turning and washing everybody. And, the one thing they can't do, and the one thing you've always been good at it, but the New England, and you can testament to this, is that, when they're going to keep a tight end in and either 6-man protected, free release the back, or go 7-man protection with a tight end in or play action, the tight end should not end up all by himself on the defensive end.
No.
And that happens. It's still happening in the league, and it's frustrating. And if it happens against New England, New England's going to win that down quick.
Yeah, no doubt. Every time I see a tight end manned up on a rusher, especially a good edge rusher, I'm always confused. So Saturday, it could play out any number of ways. Let's say hypothetically Tennessee gets the win. What do you think happens up in New England? Do you think that you see Bill leaving? Do you see Tom leaving? Is it a domino effect? Or they really have that window still open up there?
Well, I think that clearly their window's open.
Yeah.
I think you got a better chance of watching them, or of them potentially moving on after they win another trophy.
Right.
Then you could say, okay, well, how many more you want to win?
Right. Exactly.
Is enough? But you can't speak for that. I mean, they had such a, an iconic, amazing run that
it's unprecedented.
Go there, but I don't know. At some point it's going to end.
But do they leave together or do they leave one by one? Because I don't know. Whenever that is, it's like how do you make? It's probably Tom first because of age. I mean, it's just got to be.
Wait. I should be asking you this question.
Yeah.
You spent a year inside that building.
Yeah. Well, here's how I think it'll go, Fish. I've actually thought at different times this year, and I had this crazy theory that Tom would end up back in San Francisco because of the team they were building. When I looked at it in the preseason, I wondered if things go sour this year. I knew all year that New England was good, but not the way they've been. And people fell for they fell for the okie doke on the defense being historically good. They're very good, but they were feasting on bad teams. And I said to myself, Jimmy G, I didn't know he'd be this good. Okay, I thought the sample size was too small. I thought maybe Jimmy G would enter a rut, and you'd say, hey, we built this beautiful football team full of powerful scheme. We've got Deebo Samuel going. We make a trade for Sanders. Like they can beat you in any number of ways. The defense is really good. I thought Tom, growing up a Niners fan, might head out to the Bay. Now I've also heard Chargers. I've heard Chicago. As possible destinations. I think it'd be kind of weird for him. I know he sold his house. There's all this stuff going up. And I've played with Tom, but it's still shrouded in mystery. People, they don't talk about it, and that's the hard part. So it's I don't think anybody can get mad up there at people forecasting what'll happen because we don't have anything to go off of. And Bill, I mean, you've got the Dallas job. You've got the Giants job. Those are jobs that if he wasn't in New England, I would see him in those spots. But Gettleman's back in New York, so I don't think that's going to happen. I still think there could be some wild card chance he ends up in Dallas somewhere down the line. But does he want to deal with Jerry? I don't know. It's interesting. It's one of those franchises where we can't picture it without them, and I don't know what it's going to look like.
It's going to be completely different, and that I think, and a lot of people are saying the same thing. As you move over and you look at what Josh is doing. Yep. If Josh he's staying there because he should be the guy to step up and take over.
Do you think he stays? Do you think he stays?
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's been a remarkable run and amazing place. One that I have total respect for. I was excited you got that opportunity. I mean, I have respect for the Kraft family over the years, seeing what they've done, and Bill, what he's done has been amazing.
They're tremendous. When you look at these coaching jobs out there, which one do you think is the most ready-made? If you're a coach looking at an opportunity, which one are you like, that's a car I'd like to drive? I mean, they've got it all there.
Well, they're all different. The difference here is I don't believe, in my personal experience, I stepped into two teams that were 2-14 the year before. I don't see any 2-14 teams out there. These teams are built, and they've been built well. I mean, Cleveland has some players. They just have been dysfunctional and need some leadership, and they need some stability, and they need to figure it out, or they're going to continue to do what they've done for the last decade. But they have players. In Cleveland, I think someone's going to like that job because Baker has a chance. New York, you got a young quarterback that can do things. You got a running back that can do things. You can, through free agency now, you can go in and plug in who you need to plug in. As you saw, Dallas. Dallas is I would think everyone would agree that Dallas right now is a 10-6 football team. I think people thought Dallas might have been more of 11-5 or a 12-4 team to start this season. Yeah. Nonetheless, that's a good football team. Yeah. So it's different now. Obviously Washington. They made a good decision with Ron. I think the one to watch is Carolina. Now Carolina probably needs the most work from a personnel standpoint. Yep. You have questions at the quarterback spot, unlike the other jobs, because usually when jobs open, you've been playing with a backup quarterback and you need to go draft a franchise quarterback and da. None of these are the case, with the exception of Carolina, and you just don't know what's up with the big guy. If Cam comes back healthy, then he's still got some years left. So be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like in this culture now in the NFL, the attention span on coaches and the leash is getting shorter. So to your point, you could pardon me using the analogy twice, but you could drive a pretty nice car off the lot, that just somebody scrapped because they were impatient. And I think that's what you see in some of these projects. I think could turn around pretty quickly. I actually like Josh in Cleveland because I think what they need there is a people manager, somebody who has that New England edge and has like all the knowledge he got there. Now, to your point, he might not leave because he might be waiting, but I think the job would mean a lot to him being an Ohio boy. 2, if you've been around Josh, Josh, he's more personable than some of these cliche New England guys. I think he could manage some of the big personalities. I said the same thing. The Carolina job needs the most work. It's the most question marks. And Dallas, to me, it's like they got a great team, but the window's closing, so you got to do it now, right? I mean, they're getting older and whatnot.
Well, yeah, they are. But, as far as Dallas is concerned, the thing that's different now than, say, for example, when we built the Titans and sustained them, we did that through the draft. We didn't do it through free agency.
Right.
And now you can plug in the pieces through free agency if you have a foundation, as long as they fit.
Right.
And you can get over that hump quickly.
Yeah.
The question is who's making the decision. And it comes down to this. We have 12 teams left. Okay. The one thing that these 12 teams have in common is they have teams that have a GM and a head coach that are working side by side together.
Yep.
Okay. And someone would say, well, continuity, this and that. But no, in San Francisco, those guys haven't been together very long. But you know what? They are together. Okay. And
yeah.
I made this comment the other night, and you appreciate them. I mean, every head coach and GM are going to hug after the game,
right?
After a big win like that. Okay, but they grabbed each other's asses.
Yeah.
Okay, when they hugged. Yeah. I mean, the point is they're doing this together. So that's what it takes. You have to have guys working together. The rest of the league, I mean, and it's some of the teams that we've talked about. You got a GM that's just left and one that's going out, and one doesn't know if he's going to be there, and and now who's hiring the head coach and things like that. There's no chance for continuity or stability.
Right.
And you got to close the door and lock yourself up in a room and have a plan and put that plan into place. And I'm not seeing that, with the other 2/3 of the league right now.
What's one thing you miss about coaching, and what's one thing you do not miss about coaching?
There's nothing I don't miss.
Mm-hmm.
It would be not being able to see Montana in the fall.
I had to guess. Yeah, that was going to be my guess. So I'm 1 for 1.
Yeah, you are.
I know the second one.
And the thing I miss is you guys.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the bottom line. I mean, I love to come to work every day with you guys.
Yeah.
And I just see myself as one of the guys. I'm not out there on Sundays busting my ass and putting my career on the line to win a game for a bunch of guys around me. But that's what I miss. I mean, and what's cool is to be able to stay in touch with you or Tavon or you name them. They stay in touch.
It's funny when you get away from football, and it's the same thing with like Woff and me. Me and Woff used to fight like cats and dogs, when we worked together. And we never did, but my D-line coach Woff and I, because it's his personality, my personality, whatever. But when we got away, we talk every week, and I'll be on the phone for 30 minutes with Woff. I love you, man. That whole thing. It's like the bonds that get created, the people. That's what I miss. I miss that. Sure, you miss the opportunity to make big plays, you miss the roar of the crowd or whatever, but the people. To your point, if you're in the right situation, it's a people place.
Well, it is, and it goes beyond the roster, and that's what I think people lose sight of. Is that it should extend all the way out to the front, to the guard shack in front of the building.
Yes,
and that's where it's fun, and that's where the challenge is getting everybody on the same page. And going back to what we said earlier, is it's one thing to have the players hustle in the building because they're looking forward to coming to work, but everybody needs to come running in the building because it's a fun place to work. Yeah. And it's that we versus them. Anybody can stand in front of a team after a win on Monday morning. But how do you handle those tough times? Well, unfortunately, in many organizations, in those tough times, those people are pointing at, well, they lost. Mm-hmm. And that's the challenge, is pull the organization together. It's called leadership. Mm-hmm. And I think that's lacking in the league.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And you made a great point. Some of the places I've been, I remember the people that weren't on the roster as much as I remember Jimmy Lake, in St. Louis, whether it was Playmaker, the equipment guys, Silk.
Yeah.
Our boys and guys that you remember, or in like Philly, it was Big Dom Security. If you ever met Dom, he's the man. The guys in the kitchen, and you treated everybody really well that way. So moving on from coaching, a couple quick hitters before I get you out of here. Competition committee, you spent a lot of time on it. What's one thing you want to see change, and what do you think of the PI thing? I can't let you out of here without asking about that.
I think you have to go to officiating. The one thing I'd like to see change with respect to the league is that at some point somebody needs to highlight the great calls on the field, because as the youth football leagues across the country are staring at these NFL players, you have young officials, aspiring officials that like to officiate the game, that are looking up to a mess. And there's not it's a hard job. There are great calls every week. Here's an idea for your segment: is why not highlight a great call? I mean, I remember about 4 weeks ago.
That's actually pretty good.
There was a game where there were 3 toe tap, barely catches, 2 on the sideline, 1 in the end zone, and they're all ruled correct. And there were great calls, but no mention about it. So the point is we got to shift the perception of officiating. Now, how do you do that? Well, it simply starts with that type of thing, because you want people to want to officiate your boys, whether it's soccer or lacrosse or whatever it is. People don't want to do it because people look down, and the officiating thing is not a cool thing.
Right.
Okay. So number one, that would help the NFL. Now, what do you do? How do you do that? I think that's an idea. That's a possibility. 2, I really believe that, and this is only my opinion, Dean Blandino needs to go in. They need to pay him, and he needs to be the guy.
Yeah.
And he needs to get this thing under control, because in my time in the league, when Dean was there, that was a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like the stock market was great, the economy was perfect, and that was Dean Blandino stuff.
Yeah.
Because the officials on Monday, you lose or you win. I lose or I win. They lose every Monday.
Yeah.
The officials, et cetera. So here's number one. I'd like to see that change. Number 2, who knows where they went wrong with pass interference, but they did.
Right.
And they need to get that cleaned up.
Yeah.
And anytime, as a rule, as part of a competition committee, for a long, long time, I was a co-chairman for a long time with Richie.
Yep.
We understood that if you have a knee-jerk reaction and you try to change a rule because of one play, the unintended consequences will be devastating, and that's what we saw this year. Yeah. Nobody knows what pass interference is. Nobody knows whether to challenge or not challenge, or whether it's going to go to the box, or whether New York's going to change it, or what's going to happen.
Right.
And because of the fact that one play was missed last year, and the Rams went on and New Orleans didn't.
Yeah.
So there's stuff there that needs to get cleaned up. Safety's good, I think. As far as I can tell from an outsider standpoint, but get Dean back in there and recognize how hard their job is.
No, I agree. I think we rail on it, and I complain about officiating because now I'm a member of the media and I also have Twitter. So that's like, double whammy. All we like to do is complain about officiating. I have this theory that officiating has always been what it is, but our vantage point as fans and as people consuming the game is accelerating past the acceleration of officiating improving. And to your point, they need to groom people more from the ground up and make it something to incentivize it. Like, I want to do this. So yeah. I mean,
the pool's there. The college football has 8 on the field. There's things that can be done, and everything is political, and everything, whether you got a union here, you got this or that, or people don't, it's just figure out what's best for the game and get the best people in to do it and reward them. It is hard. Now, to your second point there's a human element.
Yep.
Okay. And that's part of it.
Yep.
It's subjective.
Yep.
They're going to make mistakes. It's okay. So let's be able to correct the critical mistake, which we have the the wherewithal to do that through replay. But there's always going to be a human element in the game, and that's officiated, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But let's give them the tools, or let's at least recognize the fact that these guys, their job's hard. I mean, I sat in a meeting, an officials meeting, a summer meeting with Dean and a bunch of back deep officials, and we watched 20 plays of that were or were not pass interference.
Yeah.
And 20 guys couldn't make up their mind. It was split down the middle. So if you got every official in that room and they're looking at plays and they can't agree on whether it is or not, you have to understand that that's how it's going to be called.
Yeah.
And that's just that's the human element in it. And I think that's what's great about it. But I feel bad that now if a guy has a enforcement mistake and he's enforcing a penalty incorrectly or doesn't get something then that's a problem,
right? Because
the rule book's not that hard.
Like what would you say the Oakland play was like that? The slide play, maybe on the sideline. Derek Carr. They were playing the Jags in the last game against the Raiders. He slid down, and I guess when a runner gives himself up, the clock's supposed to stop, and it slid, and he went out of bounds. The clock stopped, and they were icing it. Then Jacksonville got the ball back. I mean, they should have got the ball back with like damn near nothing left. I don't know if you saw that play, but check that.
The play, but what you're describing, if he slid in the field of play and gave himself up, okay, that clock's running.
Yeah.
You're saying they stopped the clock.
As I understood it, it was like the clock stopped, and he's thinking he's sliding down on the sideline. He slid inbounds, then out of bounds, and I guess they stopped the clock. And then Jacksonville gets the ball back and goes and rips their heart out in the last game of the Oakland Coliseum. It was a disaster. But I agree. They need to fix it. And but I see your point, which is that, hey, man, show some good stuff because they do make some good calls.
They make great calls. They do good jobs. I mean, and none of that stuff is recognized. And that's part of the NFL.
That's part of society.
Yeah, of course it is. But, you're going to – the player either did his job, made a great play, or made a poor play.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's the same with the officials.
Yeah.
And it all should be recognized.
So let me now I'm going to a couple quick hitters real quick. Last time you did not have hair on your upper lip, Jeff.
Well, come on, man. You asked me that before.
Have I?
I think it was I was in high school. I was early in the morning. I was eating some Fruit Loops, and the cat licked off my mustache.
Outdoor bucket list that you haven't crossed off.
I have a few places I'm left to fish. I've been really lucky. I've fished from Argentina to Alaska and caught most species on a fly rod. And I have a few places that I'd like to fish. And then I just love the outdoors, man. I love the mountains. I love when it gets right up there above 10,000 feet and hiking around and not knowing whether you're hunted or you're the hunter.
Yeah.
So.
What's your favorite place then?
Well, I mean, I spent, the last couple of years I spent half the time in Montana. I got into Wyoming for a couple of weeks this year, which was cool, and been into Alaska. Alaska is an amazing place.
Yeah.
It just, Mother Nature is unlike any place else in Alaska.
Yeah.
So it's
cool.
I
do want to go. I don't know if I can handle they say the bugs are bad up there. The flies.
When you go and where you go.
Okay, good. You got to tell me then. Okay, so most underrated player from each team you coached. Not each individual team, but each franchise.
Well, that would have to go back. So I go back to Houston, I guess, most underrated.
Yep.
We got there at the end. Well, I thought Ray Childress was really a good interior player, but we got him at the end of his career. And I don't think he got his due there. So I'd say maybe Ray, but then we were still Oilers before we moved. We had some good players. I have to say probably through that whole part, you didn't really get to know him, and I miss him every day. But it would be Steve McNair,
right?
Just an amazing man and athlete and football player. Probably not a top 3 or 4. They used to ask me all the time, "Is Steve a top 10, top 5 quarterback?" This was in year 3 or 4. I go, no, he's probably not a top 5 quarterback, but he's a top 5 football player. And so I'd probably say Steve. Just what an amazing man and a tragic end to a beautiful life. But and then the last stop. I mean, there are a lot of good players.
We had some good ones.
Sorry,
we had some good ones. Yeah.
Yes, good ones. Yeah. I mean, and unfortunately, when you're having tough times in the franchise and you're not winning games, the attention's not drawn to those really good players.
Right.
And they just kind of go off. So I hate to single any out, but you fall into that category. All seriousness aside, there was some really great defensive efforts and individual efforts, and they weren't ever recognized.
I still think Robert Quinn doesn't get enough credit, man. He's got the quietest 80 sacks in football.
Yeah, he doesn't. And you love him. I love him. I remember, and Jerry and Steven called me on him, last year. They wanted my opinion on him, and I go, "You better get it done and don't think twice about it because
it's been huge for them. I mean, he's been their leading. The season's over, but he was their leading sacker. He's the leading hits guy, the whole nine, and zero surprise to me. You get that guy on turf, as you know. There's nobody like that. 19 sack season.
Dodge each other in the back of the pocket.
Oh yeah,
over and how many times you have to do that.
We were a little bit close for comfort sometimes. Actually, if it wasn't for Robert Quinn, It was the Green Bay game. Remember, I took an inside move and he ran by and we ran it and Bakhtiari ran and broke my tibia. So that was what sent me out. So it happened to be my bookend. We ran into each other. It was very ironic you say that.
We would fish hook with him. We never fish hook with you.
I wasn't
because it's hard to fish hook the other side. Yeah. Nothing about athletic ability.
Well, it was more when you got one guy that probably runs a 4.55 or a 4.6.
Yeah.
But I always say him, William Hayes, Michael Brockers, who it took him going to L.A. for people to realize how good he was. Obviously, you guys nailed the Aaron Donald thing. How close were you not to drafting Aaron Donald?
I wasn't close at all. There were other people that were close.
I know.
There were other people there that thought he was too short.
Well,
a no-brainer to me.
Last question, favorite, and I know we had some ups and downs in St. Louis, but favorite win, most memorable win?
In St. Louis?
Yeah.
I think what was really fun was when we went to Washington after the shutout against Oakland and had back-to-back shutouts.
Yeah.
And then you remember you came to me on the coin toss and said, because I was so into the freaking game and that's a great idea. Let's send everybody we got in the RG3 trade out for the coin toss.
I remember every time I'm in that locker room, I remember where I was sitting and you were walking by and I came up. It was like, hey, Fish, man. You deserve some credit for this trade, man. We need to send these guys out. I said, let's send all the guys out from their trade. You said, we better fucking play well.
Yeah, and we shut them out.
Yeah.
And was that Greg's? Was that where the same game there that Greg just couldn't get the ball through the yellow post?
No, yeah.
And I made him put the ball against the locker after the game and got him out of his slump. Yeah, it was the same game. So I would have to say that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But we won on the road too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
People don't realize. I mean, we went into Arizona, Todd's rookie year. Remember when Todd slid down?
Todd looked. You were just
we beat Bruce, and we go to Seattle and win. And the hardest one I thought was the tie at San Francisco.
That was the game I got drunk and fell down the stairs on the bus in front of you. I don't know if you remember this, but I had been drinking on the bus ride to the plane, and I tripped. I didn't trip because I was drunk. I tripped because I tripped. But I remember sitting up and being like, I was like, oh, fuck, that's Fish. I tripped right in front of Fish, and you go, hey, buddy, you played a great game.
Yeah, let me help you out. Yeah.
But that was the weirdest game. I was going to say, to me, it was San Francisco at home. We wore the throwbacks. That was the most physical football game I've ever played in.
That same year, because we went into overtime again, and this time we won, and we almost tied them twice in the same year.
Yeah, that was the year they went to the Super Bowl. And I'm telling you, that game was like a wreck on the interstate over and over again. They had Brandon Jacobs. They had, Leonard, was it Leonard Williams as an extra tight end? So I was lining up in a 4-eye on Anthony Davis and then head up on Leonard Williams, and they had Ayupati, Frank Gore. I tell people about those games. It was a bloodbath. So we had some good times, man. We may not have gotten over the hump in St. Louis, but I'll tell you what, and on a serious note, before we close out, the players loved you, Fish, and we loved each other. I still talk to those guys on a regular basis. And the most special thing, the Super Bowls, they were great in my career, but was that D-line room we had in St. Louis. So I appreciate you putting that together and every week helping us go play with an edge. So thanks, Fish.
Well, like I said, it was fun. It was really fun. And that's how this game should be. And people lose track of it.
Yes,
lose
sir.
sight of it.
Yes, sir. Hey, well, I'll see you,
my friend.
I'll see you soon. Maybe we'll get up the mountain.
Stay in touch.
Okay, buddy. Thanks.